Over the years, I've developed both an ear and a passion for audio, but my background is in recording engineering, and I've even worked on several feature films. So when I had the opportunity to volunteer to test some of the best job site radios on the market, I hopped right in. I wanted to know which of these radios had the best sound, which had truly unique and helpful features, and which I just wanted to take a hard pass on. I sifted through dozens of models before settling on flagship job site radios and bringing in 7 particular models to test. The final 7, the Bosch GPB18V-5CN, the DeWalt DCR025, the Milwaukee M18 Packout radio, Ryobi's Verse Link radio, the Flex FX5351 job site radio, Hilti's R6-22 job site radio, and the 18-volt hybrid job site radio from Ridgid. We're going to take a look at several radios that stood out from the rest, including my overall favorite. But first I'm going to tell you what I look for in each job site radio and how we tested. Let's start with features. While I looked at everything, I only graded those particular features that I felt were important to a majority of users. For example, while all the radios have AM radio, I wouldn't have dinged anything for only having FM. In particular, I looked at the following items and gave a weighted rating for each. EQ, including the amount of adjustment or lack thereof. Hybrid power, does the radio only use a battery? Is it a 120 volt plus battery? Does it have an integrated power cord? And or does it use an external adapter? LCD screen, the type of LCD, the visibility, text size, backlight, and timeout length. Battery charger, this one's a yes or no. 110 volt outlets, are they present or not? And how many do you get? Does it have a sealed battery compartment or interior storage for your phone? Does the radio include a subwoofer? Is it active or passive? How many AM/FM presets are there? And is there a mute function? The weighted scoring gave me a maximum of 27 total points for this section, and each radio scored against that before being ranked. Protection and durability are important, but they're rather simple to evaluate. I'd love to say I tossed each radio off the top of my shop's roof, but we committed a long time ago not to do any destructive testing. Instead, I noted whether or not the radio had a roll cage and whether any of the buttons or knobs stuck out beyond any of the plastic pieces and could get damaged easily. Next, I noticed whether the radio included a sealed compartment for either the battery, a smartphone, or both. Milwaukee, Bosch, and Flex have sealed battery compartments, while the others don't. Flex actually has an IP64 rating, and Milwaukee has IP54. Size and portability matter in a job site radio. You want to match the radio to your particular needs. You may even want something small and portable because you don't want to spank an entire job site with 96 decibels ringing out across the entire space. If that's you, the last thing you need is to carry around a full-size radio with 6 speakers and a subwoofer. This comparison, however, assumes that you're working outside and you want a large job site radio to play your tunes. Maybe you're a carpenter, a framer, or you're just outside doing any kind of roofing or siding work. In either case, the main idea here is go big or go home. For job site radios to be good, they've got to accomplish a few things, and they've got to be loud. And when I say loud, they've got to do that without distorting. You may hear the word distortion bandied about whenever you look into audio devices or loudspeakers. Distortion occurs when you push a driver or speaker beyond its limits. This is always a potential issue with job site radios. When you play audio through a job site's full-size speakers, you have to handle both loud and soft parts of the music. These vary in both frequency and intensity over time, and it's represented by a waveform. You've probably seen audio waveforms before in TVs and movies. They often analyze waveforms in order to track down an audible clue. When a loudspeaker exceeds its capabilities, that waveform is pushed straight into the ceiling. The ceiling is where it can't go any higher. As with anything that gets pushed too hard into an immovable object, it starts to flatten out. Now instead of a nice smooth waveform with lots of resolution, you get a nasty, flattened sound. To gauge overall volume, we first tested indoors to see how loud we could push things before going into distortion. Most of the radios we tested did really well here, except Hilti seemed to lack any limiters. In fact, when you pushed it past half volume, it started to distort and continued to distort. Now, this is something that's going to be a little harder to determine or hear outdoors, which is why we started in the shop. Outside, we set up each radio on top of a table and measured SPL from 25 feet away. That's the sound pressure level, the amount of sound that it's putting out. And we used A weighting and a slow response on our meter. We then measured from each side of the radio, gathering basic sound data on how much area each radio covers in a job site situation. By far, the Ryobi outputs the loudest, cleanest audio, measuring 79 decibels from my 25-foot position. Even from the side, it put out an impressive 69 dB. Lapping those numbers were Bosch and Milwaukee, who cover a full 360 degrees of sound through the use of alternating left and right speakers at each corner. These radios delivered a decidedly wide soundstage, likely due to the corner-firing speakers and the dedicated bass drivers. These two radios clearly outperformed the competition, particularly outdoors. Next, we did a pass-fail Bluetooth connectivity test. We started by pairing each radio with an iPhone 15 Pro and then moving 350 feet away. From there, we could see if the iPhone could still stream audio from Spotify, jumping from track to track, skipping ahead and back, etc. We could also see if the smartphone would connect and disconnect from the radio. Now, manufacturers claim various Bluetooth ranges for their products. Unfortunately, they rarely specify which exact version of Bluetooth they're using or the details of the transmitters, the sensitivity, or the power that might help you understand the true range of a job site radio. In either case, most specs or claims just simply lie. If you think your Bluetooth 5.x device is going to reach 240 meters or so via line of sight, well, I might have a bridge to sell you in St. Pete. In our testing, only a few radios could handle the 350-foot range test. That's pretty impressive, as no manufacturers claim that level of connectivity or range. Keep in mind that the second you take the transmitter, in this case an iPhone, around the corner of a building, you drastically cut your range, sometimes to less than 30 feet. This makes a great case for why so many tradesmen just use the radio or leave their phone on the radio. If you're on a large job site or you just want a set and forget it style radio, the Bosch, Milwaukee, and Hilti models are your best bet. One of the key things I looked for when setting up which radios would be included in this head-to-head was the presence of FM radio. We've run into a lot of tradesmen who simply don't want to stream audio from their phones. The other thing they don't want is to get their music interrupted every time they get a text or a call. To test FM radio reception, we looked for a particularly tough scenario. We placed each radio on the floor of the Pro Tour Reviews shop and shut the large 18x14 metal rolling door. We did this and then walked around each of the radios and listened for a couple things, like any noticeable interference in the transmission or any underlying hiss or noise in the channel. Most radios did pretty well. However, the Flex had particularly poor reception. The station came in clearly when you grabbed onto the antenna and lost the signal almost completely when you let go. Finally, as is the case of many of our head-to-heads, price and value are the key to investing in any of these job site radios. To determine value, we averaged all the points for each tested element and divided that into the cost of the radio to determine who delivered the best bang for the buck. If you factor in the cost of a battery charger and prioritize that, DeWalt just edged out Milwaukee, though Bosch took the win if you don't care about charging. Now, I want to take a closer look at 4 radios that really stood out in our testing, beginning with what we perceive to be the best value among the job site radios tested, the DeWalt DCR025. As is their custom, DeWalt continues to offer a battery charger on their flagship job site radio. And that means you can operate this radio on either 20 volt or 60 volt batteries and even charge them using a 120 volt outlet. The DCR025 features a full roll cage for protection, and it kind of feels like you could throw it off your roof while still continuing to listen to your tunes. In terms of speakers, DeWalt puts 20 watts into what looks like a pair of tweeters and a pair of 3.5-inch drivers, as well as 2 ports on the front to help balance the mid-range and the lower frequencies. When listening to music, vocals were clear, and there was really some depth to the tracks when listening in particular to keyboard solos and pads. You can find cheaper job site radios, but for $250, DeWalt really delivers a lot of bang for your buck. If volume is what you're looking for, Ryobi is our pick. It has an excellent soundstage and comes with some unique features to boot. The Ryobi VerseLink job site speaker surprised me with just how much undistorted audio it could put out. In fact, it was far too loud to play at full volume within the shop. Equipped with a 50-watt subwoofer and 2 15-watt mid-range drivers on the front, this radio put out an astounding 79 dB at 25 feet. Given that it also put out 69 dB per side, it really does cover a lot of ground on the job site. Of course, Ryobi adds some other excellent features, like the ability to connect up to 100 or more other Verse-compatible speakers to create your own Phil Spector-esque wall of sound. It also conveniently attaches to any Ryobi Link job site storage solutions, so you can pop it right on top of your rolling toolbox, or just as easily, affix it to the wall in your garage or shop. We picked the Milwaukee M18 Packout radio as our job site radio with the most amount of features. It combines usability, functionality, and audio quality all into one pretty excellent package. For $299, you get a radio that lets you charge your M18 battery or stream your favorite tunes or listen to your favorite playlist. As a Packout product, it'll go on your Packout wall or store on your rolling Packout toolbox. That makes it easily transportable for any of you already running on that rig. It also has plenty of sound output, bested only by Bosch for the total amount of job site coverage. I also love how it connects so easily to Bluetooth, and more importantly, how it auto reconnects every time I turn it on. Of all the Milwaukee radios I've tested, and I've tested every single one of them, this is by far my favorite. Milwaukee Tool has some less expensive radios if you want to skip the charging features or the Packout compatibility. We also saw some new models at the most recent Milwaukee Pipeline event that should bring even more options. About the only downsides with this radio are its lack of any 120 volt outlets and the fact that it weighs 23 pounds, by far the heaviest job site radio that we tested. Finally, let's take a look at the job site radio that I think is the best of the bunch, the Bosch GPB18V-5CN. Now this radio improves upon the Power Bosch 360C, but it shares a lot of the same features as well. What's unique about the Bosch is that instead of having just two main front speakers to fire out all the audio, it alternates left and right from the 4 quadrants on top of the system itself. That gives you a lot of job site coverage. It also has a subwoofer at the bottom to give you that extra bass that you're not going to get from 2.5-inch speakers alone, or even tweeters or anything less than having some kind of speaker dedicated to low frequency. Because of the design of these speakers, it covers far more on the job site area than any other radio that we tested. It also has Bluetooth 5.0. It has a protective area for your battery, so it's not going to get wet in the rain when you use it outside. You get 420 volt outlets on the side, which is twice the amount you get with the DeWalt radio. Oddly enough, Bosch didn't include a battery charger, which is unusual since the PB360C radio that precedes it did have that feature. The radio plays clean, it plays low, it provides tons of coverage, and you can pick it up for $229, though we keep seeing it on sale for around $190. Overall, definitely the best job site radio we've tested. So those are our top picks. But there's one more thing I want to share with you guys before we wrap this video up. Now you may see the irony in what we're about to do, but in the past, we've heard from many of you in the comments that you really want to hear what these radios sound like. So keep in mind, you're about to hear these radios recorded on our microphones, processed through our editing equipment, and exported so that you can listen to them on whatever computer speakers you're listening to or headphones. Right?
Yes, exactly.
So with that, we're going to play a few royalty-free songs and give you about 30 seconds of samples for each radio so that you can judge for yourself through the veritable gauntlet that is the speaker systems that you're listening to right at this moment.
I see the way you look at me, the cherry on top of your broken dreams. I didn't ask you for anything, but you're acting like I did. I can feel it when you walk around. You see a light, try to put it out. Do I remind you that you never found exactly I'm sorry that things didn't go as planned, what you wanted. Why do I feel like your world is in my hands? Cycles repeating. You get mad, I get sad, and then you leave, and I'm grieving. Oh, I wish we had what I really need. I know deep down you're good. You're just so misunderstood. It's deceiving. Round and round we go. Cycles repeating. Oh,
There you have it, folks. The best job site radios you can get today. Do you have any questions about the radios or our testing? Leave them in the comments below. And what tools do you want to see in the next round of testing? Leave those in the comments as well. And don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel for more great reviews. As always, thanks for watching, everybody.